Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. And for those of you that are new here, hey, my name is Tenna and welcome back to my circus. Today's video, we are gonna take it back to the basics. I have a lot of friends, I have a lot of family, things like that I have like sat and done my makeup with that have asked me for makeup tips. And I feel that when you are in the beauty community and you're really, have good knowledge of products and how to use them and things like that, you don't really think that there are people that may have trouble using some of these products, don't know where to start with some of these products, may have gotten some makeup as a gift and don't know where to start with it. So basically what I'm gonna do today is take it back to the basics. We're gonna go to the beginning. I'm gonna do a full face of my makeup and I'm basically gonna go over all of the products from foundation to contour to blush to highlighters to how we do our eyebrows, everything, just to kind of give my tips and tricks on how to apply these products, make sure that you're applying them correctly and all that good stuff. If this is something that you are interested in, go ahead and stick around. Otherwise, if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, don't know why you haven't. I'm kind of cool around here and I'm still wearing overalls, so anyways, let's go ahead and jump on into the video. Just as a disclaimer, if there are those of you that are watching this video and you are very in-depth with your own makeup knowledge, things like that, I just want to say right now, this is the way that I do my makeup. My advice, the tips that I may give is not the end-all be-all on how you do your makeup. So if you have another way that you do your makeup that works better for you, then by all means, go ahead and continue doing it your way. I'm giving tips and tricks on how I feel makeup looks best for me and on other people. If you have a different style than I do, then by all means, stick with it. Makeup is makeup. It is supposed to be art. It is supposed to be something that is fun to be played with. It's not supposed to be a one-size-fits-all. You are supposed to be able to create and do whatever you feel looks best for you. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and jump on into, basically, we're going to start from the beginning. I am completely barefaced. There is nothing on my face except for moisturizer. One tip that I will give about foundation is that when you're doing your foundation and your skin is only going to look as good as your skincare routine. If you do not have a skincare routine, I suggest getting one. That is the one thing I will say in this entire video, that I don't care whose opinion is on it. Everybody needs a skincare routine, whether you think your skin is perfect or it's horrible or whatever the hell you think it is. Everybody needs some type of skincare routine. Me, I have combination dry skin. I tend to get a little bit oily in this area, but it's also dry, so I get a lot of blackheads, things like that. But in general, I tend to have very, very dry skin. Therefore, when I wash my face, I exfoliate every other day with the exfoliating face wash, and I use a hydrating face wash in between. I make sure that I tone my face with a hydrating toner as well as use any type of hydrating moisturizers, SPF, eye cream, stuff like that. I have a very in-depth skincare routine to take care of this skin. So basically, I've already done that. I have my eye cream and all that stuff on. I use the Dr. Brandt Needles No More baggage for my under eyes. It actually works very, very well. I got this in a BoxyCharm. And then for my moisturizer, just because it's summertime, I'm leaning a little bit more oily than usual. In the wintertime is where you will see my skin get extremely dry and just like awful to work with. The summertime, just because of the heat, you'll see a little bit more of the oil production. So right now I'm dealing with a little bit more of oily skin versus dry, patchy skin that I'm used to. So it depends on the year. My skin likes to do different things. But right now, because my skin is oily, I am using the Glamglow Waterburst moisturizer for my face. It really helps keep the oils at bay. It's a very lightweight moisturizer. So going into it, primers, do we need them? Me personally, I don't necessarily think that you need them. I do think that there are some primers out there that are good. I think the best primer that you can use on your face is whatever is going to make your face look good. So if you have dry skin, moisturize. Get a primer with a moisturizer. My favorite one is the Too Faced Hangover RX face primer. It's easily my favorite primer to use. It's very, very hydrating, and it just makes my skin feel really, really nice when my skin is feeling dry. And the other primer that I swear by as far as people with pores is the Benefit Porefessional primer. I put that all on my nose, and in here I have large pores. It does fill them in and it does help to smooth the skin. However, I don't necessarily think that primers are all that necessary. I feel like that is kind of one of those like unpopular opinions. Like I feel like it's a 50-50 split in the beauty community on if you need a facial primer. I don't necessarily think that you need them. I don't necessarily think that it's going to make your foundation stick any more than if you were to just put down a nice hydrating base. I feel like as long as your skin is hydrated and ready to go, you can put foundation down on top of it. Jumping into foundation, let's go ahead and apply our foundation. I'm going to go in with my tried and true, my absolute favorite, which is the Too Faced Born This Way foundation. I am in this the color Caramel. This is a very good foundation for drier skin. It gives more of a dewy finish instead of a matte finish. Just as a disclaimer, for different types of foundations, picking what type of foundation is great for your skin. If you have dry skin, stick to more of the dewy satin finish type ones. If you have extremely oily skin, then stick to more of the matte foundations. Matte foundations on dry skin tends to bring out the texture, the dry patches. That's when you kind of see that kind of gross up close foundation skin. And then of course, when you use a dewy type foundation that's a satin finish, a little bit more hydrating on oily skin, is where you tend to see that oil slick look throughout the day, where they're tending to blot a lot and they look really oily. So definitely pay attention to your foundation when you're picking that out. And when I go and pick out my new foundation shades, I'm not afraid to leave the house without any makeup on, your choice. But when I know I'm going to go buy a new foundation, I go barefaced, and I always swatch my foundation shades on the side of my face right here. Don't do it on the back of your hand, don't do it on the inside of your arm, like none of that stuff. We are not the same color here to here. I know that for a fact. I know that my face, just because of how much SPF and stuff that I use, is a lot lighter than the rest of my body. So I always test the shades right here on my jaw, and sometimes people like to do it on their neck. I think my neck is a lot lighter than the rest of my body in general, so I tend to like to make my neck match my face and my chest. But when I do my foundation, I do my entire face, down my neck and into my chest, just so that we can avoid this line here. So let's go ahead and apply the foundation. There's two different ways that you can apply your foundation. You can either go in with the Beauty Blender, which don't mind, mine is like absolutely disgusting and kind of gross, I need to wash it. Or you can go in with a foundation brush. Which one is better? It's all personal preference. I find that the Beauty Blender is very universal. I think that it works great on all skin types, and I feel like it actually helps to make your foundation look the most flawless. As far as a foundation brush, this right here is the Morphe Y6 foundation brush. I think that this works really good if you you lean more towards the oily skin tone. I feel that if you have dry, rougher skin and have that, you know, skin patch issues, things like that, the brush tends to kick up a little bit more of the dry patches than the Beauty Blender will. Well, the Beauty Blender just more or less pushes the foundation into your skin, whereas the brush might kind of, you know, go in. So if I had to pick one that's gonna work for everybody, Beauty Blender for sure. There's definitely a lot of dupes out there. I don't think that you should compare like the dupes to the Beauty Blender before you get a Beauty Blender. I've gone and bought a lot of the little $5 ones that are like cheap, and they're not the same. It's like not the same material, and I feel that it tends to take off my makeup more than set it in, whereas the Beauty Blender does that. However, I have found some good dupes. The Morphe Beauty Sponge, that one I think is only $7 or $8. Works extremely well too. I think the Beauty Blender is about 20 bucks. So, but they last quite a long time. Let's go ahead and apply the foundation. I'm actually gonna go ahead and use the brush today because I'm a little bit oily, and the brush actually gives you a little bit more full coverage than the Beauty Blender. I think the Beauty Blender sucks up a little bit of product, so that is one disclaimer about the Beauty Blender, is that it does suck up product when you use it. So you may have to use a little bit more foundation than if you were to use a brush to apply your foundation on your face. But it is all personal preference, whichever one works best for you. I'm going for a little bit more of a full coverage look today, which is why I'm going with my brush. So let's go ahead and take this. We're gonna go ahead and buff it around in circular motions. All right, so foundation is on. Sorry, I did a little bit of foundation on my lips, so I'm looking a little bit like foundation lip crazy right now. So next thing that is up that I like to do when doing a full face of makeup is my concealer. I know that in the past that everybody's been kind of taught to do their concealer before they put on their foundation. However, I like to use the concealer as more of a highlighting effect to kind of wake up my features. So right now, basically what we're gonna go through is how I kind of like highlight, contour, bronze my face. I don't really contour as much anymore. I feel like it's kind of like a big bold thing. I do bronze and I do highlight, things like that. So what I'm going to do, I'm gonna go in with my cream concealer. It is the bareMinerals bareSkin Complete Coverage Serum Concealer. It is in the color Medium Golden. This is my favorite concealer, hands down. Out of all the concealers I have used, it's my favorite. It's the most natural looking. I'm gonna go ahead and take that, and I'm just gonna go ahead and put it underneath my under eyes. So So I'm gonna go ahead and put it under my under eyes like so. Some people like to put it down their nose, on their forehead, and on their chin for a little bit more of a chiseled highlight look. I don't like to go that in depth. I just like to kind of, you know, wake up those dark circles under my eyes and make myself a little bit more awake. So I actually like to use a beauty blender for this. Some people do use a brush. I do find that using a brush makes your under eye look a little bit more creasy in texture, so I don't prefer using it that way. I like using the beauty blender. So what I'm gonna do is take the beauty blender, I'm gonna go ahead and blend it out, down and into the sides, and I also go over my eyelid so it gives me more of an awake appearance. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this and just go ahead and dab this around and blend it out. So as you can see on this side of my face, you can see that there is a much bigger like brightening effect. I know that there's concealer under this eye, but you can see the difference between this eye and this eye. This one definitely looks a little bit more brighter, and it gives you a little bit more of that wide awake look. And so just to highlight the rest of my face, because I don't like to have too much of like that harsh highlight when they put concealer directly on it, I'll take the residual that's on there and I'll just kind of dab it onto my chin and it'll brighten up there. I'll kind of dab it up my nose and then I'll take the rest and just kind of dab it in the middle of my forehead. So the thing about highlighting and contouring your face is that when you highlight your face, you want to highlight your face wherever the natural light hits your face. So if you look where I highlighted, the natural light hits me here, it hits me here, down my nose and on my chin. It also hits a little bit above the lip right there. So that is where we will highlight our face. That is where we put our concealer at. In order to make sure that our concealer stays in place, that we don't get any creasing, I do like to put a powder over it. You can just take a regular powder and just dust it on. I like to bake mine, so it's all personal preference. My favorite is the Mercier translucent powder. ColourPop has a really good one as well. There are a lot of really, really great setting powders out there. However, my favorite is the Mercier translucent setting powder. It is a little bit expensive, but a little bit goes a long way. Like I've had this for a while and like I'm not running out close to yet on this. So you take a little bit, you put it in the lid. So as you can see right here, that is basically what the powder looks like. It is just a nice finely milled powder. So basically what I'll do is I will take my beauty sponge and just dip it right into there so you can see it on the side of the sponge. And I will go ahead and take it and press it into my under eye like so. So now you can see this big old kind of white mark. You don't have to bake like this. I like doing it this way just because I get kind of creasy under there. So, you know, you don't have to do all this kind of stuff, but it helps with mattifying my skin in the oily spots. So I'll basically put it on my face like that and let it sit. If you don't want to bake, you can just take a huge powder brush. This is the Crown C518 brush. This is my favorite powder brush. I'll just take this, dip it in there, and just kind of over my entire face. You do not have to bake. I'm just a little bit extra per usual and like to bake my face. So while it's baking, let's go ahead and do eyebrows. When you bake your face, if you bake like I do, you know, you leave it on for a few minutes. So in that time, I work on my eyebrows, then I'll dust it off and then work on the rest of my face. So let's move on to eyebrows. There's different types of eyebrow products out there. I use the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow. There's also the Kat Von D one. I have one from ColourPop. There's also the Twist Up pencils. So it all depends on what your personal preference is. I have very, very sparse eyebrows. So I, you know, don't necessarily like to use the pencils as much because I feel like it takes a little bit more work. However, I go in with the pomade. I will link the video for my eyebrow tutorial down below. That is like a whole other video in itself. Just know that when I like to do my eyebrows, you know, I carve them out and I like to leave the front of the eyebrows lighter than the tails of them. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually do my eyebrows off camera because like I said, doing your eyebrows is a whole other video in itself. I will link my eyebrow tutorial down below. So if you're interested in how I do my eyebrows, then you can go ahead and watch that. So I'm gonna go ahead and pause it right here, throw on my eyebrows, and we'll be right back. All right, we're back. Eyebrows are on. As you can see, I've kind of got this faded eyebrow look from where it's a little bit more faint here and gets darker towards the tail. I feel like that is the most natural way of doing your eyebrows. You know, like I said, makeup is makeup. Everybody is allowed to do makeup the way they feel is fit. However, there is nothing scarier to me than a blocky brow where the front of your brow is the same color as your tail. I feel like there's no rules to makeup, but there are some rules to makeup, and that is one of them. Make your eyebrows look right. So let's go ahead and take our big fluffy powder brush. We're gonna go ahead and take that and just dust this off. Alright, so we went ahead and dusted all of the powder off. What the powder does is it kind of just helps lay down the foundation here. So as you can see, my under eye, everything is very, very smooth and just kind of like really opaque coverage. So basically that's what the powder does. It helps to set it in place so that you don't get any creasing under your eyes, no lines, you don't see any bags, anything like that. So that is why we powder our face. Let me go ahead and zoom back out again. All right, next thing that we're gonna do is kind of like a contour bronzing type thing. Like I said, I don't necessarily contour it that much anymore. However, I do bronze, I do kind of contour it here. So basically a contour is the opposite of a highlight. When you bronze and you contour, you're going to put your bronzer and your contour basically everywhere that you get natural shadows where the sun does not hit your face. So basically it is under your cheekbones here, it is on the sides of your forehead here, and some people like to contour out the sides of their nose, which that's fine to do too, as well as along the jawline. So I have two favorite cult items that I like using for contour and for bronzing my face that I don't think that I will find anything better. So the first one is the Kat Von D Shade and Light Palette. Basically this is what it looks like on the inside. Just like this, you've got 3 different contour and 3 different highlight shades depending on your skin tone. So you can actually use this palette itself on a variety of different skin tones. I tend to fall into more of this area. This is a little bit more for like the lighter skin tone area. So contour shades. You'll notice that there are a ton of different types of contour shades out there. The difference between contour and bronzer is that a bronzer is always going to be warm. It's meant to kind of give you that sun-kissed, suntan type of thing. Contour can be cool or warm, and it's very, very dependent on how you would like to contour your face. You know, really determines how it's going to look. So for me personally, in the summertime, I like to look warm, which is why I use bronzer or I use a warm contour. In the wintertime when it's colder, I tend to go more towards the cool tones, which is a more of a cool tone contour. So as you can see in this palette right here, the contour shades that are in here, they all tend to be a little bit more cool toned. So I tend to dip into this a little bit more during the winter time. And then my favorite bronzer is actually cheap. So not everything I have is high-end. It is the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. Basically this is what it looks like. So it is a nice warm shade, as you can tell. So if you put them side by side, you can see how this one looks much warmer than the other ones that are a little bit cooler toned. And what I mean by warm and cool is that a cool toned one has a little bit more of like a gray cast to it. It kind of just looks a little bit more gray than it does like a orangey brown, whereas bronzer is a little bit more warm. So anyway, how we go in with this is that we're gonna go ahead and take a nice little contour brush. I'm using this guy right here. It is the Aesthetica P12 brush. There are a million different contour brushes out there that you can get. All of them are pretty good. So I'm actually gonna go in and show you guys kind of like contouring since I'm in it. I'm gonna go ahead and take a little bit of it on the brush and dip into there. Basically what you do with this is you're going to take it under your cheeks. So you're basically going to lightly bring it down the sides of your cheeks. See how it gets a little bit darker right in there? So you're gonna take that and I'm gonna bring it up my sides and underneath the cheekbone. I'm gonna go ahead and just smooth that out, and I'm going to go ahead and keep doing it until it gets a nice fade. You don't want there to be a harsh contour line. Alright, so see how the difference here? You see that there's a little bit more of a contour. It kind of carves out the cheekbones where there's not much over on this side. So I'm gonna go ahead and do it on the other side. Then I'm gonna go ahead and take that same contour shade. I'm gonna go ahead and go underneath my jawline like so. Ladies that freak out that you have a double chin, this is a good double chin hack. Just contour that double chin away. So it gives you a little bit more of that sharp jawline. And then I'm actually gonna use the rest on bronzer. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a little bit of my bronzer. I'm gonna take my brush, swirl around in there. I love this. It smells like the beach. It smells like really coconutty and like tropical. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this. I'm actually gonna hit this on the sides of my forehead right here, just to kind of warm it up a bit. On both sides. I do tend to go across my forehead a little bit just so I can kind of blend my foundation into my hairline. Sometimes my foundation's a little bit light, so if I can kind of take my bronzer and take it along here, it kind of gets rid of that line. And then, if your ears are out and they're a lot lighter than your face, I also take bronzer on a brush and I will bronze my ears so that now my ear matches the rest of my face. Ta-da! Secret hacks. And then as far as a nose contour goes, I'm pretty light about it. I usually just take like a small little brush. I'll go ahead and dip into the bronzer and I just take it down the sides of my nose ever so carefully, and just kind of contour it out. It gives the illusion of a smaller nose. My nose isn't big nor small, so I'll go ahead and do that, and then I blend underneath the nose just to kind of get rid of like that roundness and just kind of blend this out. I do very, very light contouring. I try to make it look a little bit as natural as possible. This is for like going out everyday type of makeup. This is not like editorial camera type stuff. I know that sometimes nose contour and regular face contour in general can get absolutely insane. Like it makes me crazy. So anyway, that is basically how you contour and highlight your face. So like I said, when you highlight your face, you highlight these areas that are light. When you contour, you go in underneath the cheekbones, under the jaw, and on the sides of the forehead. And then you can also highlight your nose if you want to. You don't have to do it. I just recently started contouring my nose. And then always bronze your ears if your ears are gonna be out, because your ears are always a lot lighter than the rest of your face. Next, let's go ahead and move on. Blush, I'm not gonna wear any today. However, when you wear blush, make sure that you kind of put them onto like the apples of your cheeks and back. Make sure that you use a nice color. Some people tend to go a little bit overboard on blush, if you ask me, but I mean, hey, to each their own. So next thing, my favorite product, the one thing that I do not leave the house without at any time, is highlighters. There are so many different highlighters. I actually have a drawer that is dedicated to highlighters. And you're like, Tenna, you just taught us how to highlight. I know. No, I'm talking about the shimmery highlight. I'm talking about that glow. I'm talking about that you look like a glazed donut. Like, ugh, like there's nothing that gets me more than a good highlight. So highlighters, what are they? How do I use them? How do I know which one is best for me? There are a million different types of highlighters. I've got powder ones that are right here. They're a little bit messy, but they are my favorite types. You've got liquid ones like so. You've got cream ones like so. There are so many different types of highlighters. So here is a cream one. They tend to be my least favorite. I feel like they pick up your foundation a little bit, but basically that is what they look like if you put it on the back of your hand. If you blend it out with your finger, then you will kind of see a little bit of that glow on my hand. So you can kind of see the side of my hand here, there's a little bit of a glow. Next, we've got like a liquid one, which these are my Marc Jacobs Dewy Gel Drops. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a little drop. And it's literally like little like gel type stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that. I'm gonna take my finger and spread that out. Now that one is a little bit more intense. This one I actually like to use underneath my foundation sometimes. I went ahead and rubbed that one out. You can see the difference in that one. It's a lot more blinding. And then the last but not least is going to be your powder highlighters or your pressed highlighters as well. A pressed highlighter is going to look a little bit more like this palette right here, where they're kind of pressed into it, and then you have your loose highlighters, which is kind of like the setting powder that I showed you guys, where it's you kind of have to shake it around. It's really messy, it's dusty, but they're my favorite. I feel like they tend to give some of the most blinding highlights. So which one is the most easiest? If you are a beginner at highlighters, I highly suggest getting the pressed powder ones. I feel like they're the easiest to control. Just because you take a brush, you lightly dust it on. I feel like the more advanced you get with highlighting, then you start using the liquid highlighters. The liquid highlighters are good to use, however, depending on how quickly they dry, how you work with them, sometimes they can pull up your foundation if you don't put them on right. Sometimes they dry down too fast and then they look really patchy and like not cute. So let's go ahead and go over a just like the powder highlighter. So I'm gonna do one on each side. So basically I'm gonna dip into this one right here. I'm going to take my highlighting brush. Going in with my highlighting brush, that is the Morphe R36 brush, which is my favorite. I'm gonna go ahead and dip into this color right here, which is, it's kind of like dipping into an eyeshadow. So basically, what do you do with highlighter? Where do you put it? Highlighter like this will go on the tops of your cheekbones right here. So you'll go ahead and take it right there and then just kind of blend it out. This is a very blinding, so it all depends on what you like. I like extremely blinding highlights. I like to look like I got smacked with a glazed donut. Some people like to go for things a little bit more subtle. That is fine. There are a lot of very, very subtle highlighters out there. Wet n Wild actually makes really, really great ones, and they're very, very affordable. ColourPop as well. Theirs are buildable, so you can actually use some of theirs and build them up to be a very, very blinding highlight. So their Super Shock, or it's not their Super Shock, but it's their pressed highlighters work very, very well for that. So I like to use this and then just kind of blend it on out. All right, so you have these on your face and you're like, Tenna, where else can I put this? Oh, don't get me started. You can, I also like to take it, I like to drag it down my nose like so, just to kind of highlight the area, and I highlight the tip there, and I also will highlight the top of my lip. just to kind of hit all those places. Like I said, I am addicted to highlighter, so you don't have to use as much highlight as I do. Yes, this one right here looks crazy until you put lipstick on, so like don't knock it until I'm done. Picking a good highlighter for you. What is a good highlighter shade for you? So for the fair skin tone type girls, you're gonna go for a little bit more of the white and icy type highlighters. Those are gonna look the best on your skin tone. They look a little bit more silvery, but they bring out you know, the undertones in your skin a lot better. Using an icy white type highlight on it, deeper skin tones can actually kind of look really ashy, kind of make you look like you smacked faces with a Tin Man. So I don't necessarily recommend it for that unless you're kind of doing more of like an artistic, editorial type thing. For medium to deeper skin tones, I definitely recommend going for more of the golds, like these ones right here. So these ones right here are very, very, very good for fair skin tones. Sometimes I dip into them. I am you know, mixed race, so sometimes I can dip into both of them, but these ones tend to look a little bit better on my skin tone. So the gold will look really, really good on the medium to deep skin tones, and then for deep skin tones you will go into more of the bronze type highlighters, which bring out the undertones in your skin the best. Bronze, if you use it on fair skin tones, is where you tend to see where you look a little bit bruised up here. So definitely when you're looking at highlighters, think about your undertones. So silver undertones for lighter skin, golden undertones for darker skin is basically how it works. But like I said, whatever you want to do, I'm just saying that's how they're meant to work for different skin tones. So basically that is the face. That is how you put on your entire face. Let's go ahead and finish on up with everything. Eyeshadows, we're not gonna get too deep and crazy in with eyeshadows because doing your eyeshadow, there's just so many different ways. There's not one single way to do it. However, I'm just gonna do like a simple natural type thing. I'm gonna go ahead and go on with the Lunar Beauty Life's a Drag palette because we've got some nice neutrals here. This is just a simple everyday look that you can do. So basically what you're gonna do, some tips that I have for eyeshadows. When you are building up your base, anything that goes in your crease that you're blending out here, always use a matte shade. Never, ever, 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 ever in your life, just don't do it. Do not put a shimmer shade in your crease. Don't do it. It looks terrible. It looks like crap later. Just don't do it. The shimmer colors are meant to be for your lid only. Do not put them in your crease. I don't care how pretty you think it is, just don't do it. Like I said, if you like to do it at home, that's fine. You probably look crazy. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a nice big fluffy blending brush. So basically when you start your makeup, you always wanna start by laying down a base. So I'm gonna take a big fluffy brush that's gonna be good for going over the entire eye. I'm gonna dip into this light shade here, and I'm gonna go ahead and take that, I'm going to blend it over the entire eye. Basically all this does is it just sets a nice neutral base. So as you can see the difference between this side and this side, this one just has like a nice neutral kind of peachy base down, and this one is a little bit more naked. As far as brushes go for eyeshadow, for the most part, most brushes that you're going to use are going to be some type of fluffy blending brush. So what I mean by a fluffy blending brush are these type of guys right here. They are these big fluffy type brushes. This is what's going to help you blend. That's what's going to help you get rid of those harsh lines when you do your eyeshadow, things like that. So I highly recommend picking some of these up. All of these are actually from Morphe. Morphe is extremely, extremely good for picking up brushes. They have a lot of really good beginner sets as well. If you don't really have any brushes, you can go on to morphebrushes.com and you can actually look through their eyeshadow brushes sets, things like that, and you can actually get ones that are especially made for your eyes, things like that. I tend to like the ones with the dark bristles more. I don't know why, they just tend to blend a little bit better. I find the ones with the light bristles tend to get a little bit like crazy looking and like don't blend as well after a while. These ones are a little bit softer and a little bit more dense. So next, I took this big old fluffy brush to do my entire eye. So next I'm gonna go on with this guy right here. This one's a little bit more tapered, so as you can see at the top, it kind of comes in into a cone a little bit more. And then this one is also really good for like getting really precise into the crease when you are doing really, really intense kind of like a smoky eye type thing. But we're doing something simple today. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this fluffy brush. I'm gonna go into a color that's a little bit darker. So I'm gonna go into this color right here, the color Mug. It looks kind of dark on camera, but it's not too bad. So I'm gonna take that. I'm also gonna take that and blend it into the crease. So So as you can see, I just kind of laid it down in here. See all this harshness here? So basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna take this brush, you're gonna hold it from the very end and very, very lightly just kind of do these nice little circular motions and just kind of work on going back and forth and just circular motions and blending this out until you get that nice seamless line. Alright, and sometimes blending can take forever. Like as you can see, I'm still blending. You know, sometimes you could sit here for a whole entire minute blending your eyeshadow, which is fine. You want that seamless blend. So there we go, we've got that in our crease. So just to finish it up, like I said, I'm gonna go very simple. I'm gonna go into this gold color here at Legendary. Normally I like to go into the silvery one, but I'm gonna go in with the gold today. I'm actually gonna apply this with the finger. It all depends on your shimmers. Sometimes they apply a lot better with a finger than they do a brush. However, if you do want to apply it with a brush, I do suggest going in with some type of flat brush like so. These flat brushes are really gonna help you kind of lay down the shadow. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that. I'm just gonna go ahead and press it onto the lid like this. All right, and sometimes when you lay it down, it can be a little bit harsh, so I'll go ahead and take that same fluffy blending brush and just kind of very ever so lightly kind of blend them together. That way there's no crazy harshness in there. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and line my eyes really quick. I like to do a winged eyeliner. You can just do a simple line across the top. It's all very, very much personal preference on how you would like to do that. I like to do winged eyeliner. I do have a winged eyeliner tutorial, so I will also link that below if you're interested in seeing that, on some tips and tricks on how I do my winged eyeliner. There are just certain things that I do that unfortunately take a whole video in themselves to show how to do. Otherwise, this video would be an entire hour long, and you know, I know y'all don't want to watch this for an entire hour, so. Alright, so I went ahead and put on my eyeliner and I just threw on some mascara. I didn't really think that I needed to go over my mascara routine because mascara is mascara. I think we all put it on the same way. Unless you do it differently, then let me know. However, my favorite mascara right now is the Milk Cosmetics Milk Makeup Kush mascara. It's awesome. It has CBD oil in it, so they get rid of the beeswax that is normally in regular mascara. And I've noticed since I've used it, my eyelashes are actually getting a lot longer. And when it's dry, your eyelashes actually are really like flexible and soft versus like crunchy. So your eyelashes don't break off as easily. So anyway, to finish this up, let's go ahead and do our lips. Lipstick advice. Lipstick is lipstick. I think lipstick is fun. I love all colors of lipstick. However, going out in public, if you want to do a bold lip, bright lip, things like that, I normally think that if you do a neutral eye, it works best with a bold lip, unless you're trying to go for like a very bold statement. If you want to have orange eyeshadow and orange lipstick, by all means, like makeup is makeup, it's art. If that's what you want to do, then so be it. However, if you're looking for more of like a subtle look but with a little pop of color, I do highly recommend doing a neutral eye like this and then popping on a you know, a colorful lip. I'm actually going to do a neutral lip today. I think that it's a little bit better for like everyday things like that. Different types of lipsticks. There's matte, there's satin, there's gloss, things like that. Matte lipstick, it's very drying. You do have to prep your lips for it. I do recommend doing a lip scrub. You can make your own lip scrub at home with honey and sugar, or you can buy them. I think it's easier to just buy them instead of making a mess. But you'll scrub down your lips. You have to make sure they're moisturized, and then you put on the matte lipstick. It does stay all day, which is nice. However, I feel like it does tend to bring out the cracks in your lips, things like that. And it tends to make your lips look a little bit drier. I think that matte lipstick looks really, really good on women that have like lip fillers and things, because they don't have to deal with the crustiness of the lip situation. So I'm just gonna go ahead and go in with a nude lipstick. I'm actually gonna go in with the MAC Velvet Teddy lipstick, which is one of my favorite nudes. You can use a lip liner. Sometimes I do. I think lip liners are really, really helpful when you're trying to get that shape. However, I'm going for more of a nude, so I don't tend to use lip liners as much for a nude lipstick unless the nude is really light. Then I go in with a dark lip pencil. I feel like nudes aren't necessarily as tailored for darker skin tones, so sometimes we do have to use a darker lip liner to make the light one work. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw this one on. There's a nice nude lipstick, and then I will top it with a gloss, which the gloss actually helps to give more of that full lip effect. So I'll take a little bit of gloss and just kind of put it on over the top. Don't quote me on it. I don't know if they make this a lip gloss anymore, but it's the Urban Decay lip gloss in the color Liar. So anyway, it's one of my favorite lip glosses. So when you use a gloss mixed with it, it actually tends to give your lips a little bit more of that full lip color. The only thing that sucks about it is that it transfers on everything when you have lipstick like this. Glasses, people, whatever your lips touch, you're gonna get lipstick on it. But however, your lips look nice all day and they don't feel as dry. So anyways, that is the full face. Normally to finish it up, the one thing that I will say that I use the hell out of is setting spray. Holy shit, you need setting spray. You need setting spray. You need setting spray. Two of my favorite ones that I like using are the Urban Decay All Nighter, which is a very good one. However, it's very expensive. I think it's like $30 for a bottle of it. And my other favorite one, actually, that I like a little bit better than the All Nighter is the Morphe Cosmetics. It's their Continuous Setting Mist. This one only costs $8 versus $30, and it smells good and my makeup lasts all day. So basically, I take a little bit of it, hold it a little bit from my face, and just kind of spray down my face, let it sit. If there is any like powderiness on your face from the setting powder, I will take that beauty blender and just kind of push this into the skin. Just push all the setting powder and the setting mist into the skin like so. And that is it. That is our full face. And that is my beginners from the beginning to the end, my beginner 101 tutorial on how to do your makeup. Hopefully this was helpful for you, and hopefully that you enjoyed this. Hopefully I gave you some really good tips on how to use some of your makeup products at home. If you have any other tips or anything else that you would like me to go over in any of my tutorials, go ahead and drop me a comment below. I will be more than happy to do that for you. Otherwise, that is it, you guys. I will see you guys in my next video, and thank you for following along. Bye, guys.